You might think sleep paralysis is simply a bad dream, and I used to believe that too. But everything changed when I experienced it for myself, and something that no scientific explanation could explain happened. Because the things I saw during sleep paralysis didn't just stay in my dreams, they followed me to my real life. So let's start from the beginning. It started about 2 years ago, and there I was, super excited about moving out of my parents' house for the first time. I was heading to college, and I was finally gonna get my first experience of independence. But I shouldn't have been so excited, because the place I was moving into for college raised some red flags immediately. Like, the landlord for this place was a guy named Mr. Peterson, who always seemed paranoid. Whenever you would talk to him, he'd be looking around as if he was trying to keep an eye out for someone. And when I asked about the previous tenants at the place, he quickly changed the subject. But the biggest red flag should have been when I saw these weird headstones poking out of the yard right outside the building. Because I asked the landlord what they were, and he just told me they were some old statues that got worn down over time, but that was far from the truth. And if I knew what those statues really were from the beginning, I never would have moved in. The first night I slept there was actually pretty normal. I slept like a baby, which started to make me feel confident that I moved into the right place. No weird noises, no cold spots, no mysterious figures, just me snoring in my new bedroom. But things started getting a little weird when I was unpacking the kitchen, because I found this dusty black and white photo in the back of a drawer. It showed the land where my apartment now stood, but instead of a building, there was like a memorial site with flowers on it. I couldn't really depict exactly what it was though, so I thought it was interesting, but I didn't pay it much mind at the time. A few days after moving in, I met my neighbor, an old lady named Mrs. Kang. We made some small talk about the building, and then she said something that stuck with me. When living here, just remember to respect the history of the land and you'll be fine. When I asked what she meant by that, she just smiled and said that she needed to go do her laundry. A little weird, but I just figured it was one of those cryptic things that old people say when they don't make any sense. Like, you ever walked by an older person and they're just mumbling, so you can't tell if they're sneak dissing you or not? That's kind of what it felt like. About a week into living there, I started noticing small, strange things. Like how the temperature would drop in the corner of my living room, even though the thermostat was set to 75 degrees. Or how my bathroom door would be open in the morning when I was positive I shut it the night before. Little stuff that you just brush off. But then one night, I couldn't sleep, and I just decided to go down an internet rabbit hole researching about the building. I looked up how long it's been here, and that's when I found out that it was built in 1972. But here's the kicker. It was built on what used to be a cemetery. Y'all see where we're going now? The article mentioned that all the graves were relocated before construction, so I figured it wasn't a big deal. Lots of older neighborhoods are built on former cemeteries, right? Now, I don't know what they do with the bodies, but I'm sure it's okay. At the time, I actually thought it was kind of cool in a morbid way because I love spooky stuff. But then the night came where everything changed. A couple weeks after moving in, I've been sleeping pretty good every night up until this day. Because on this particular night, I went to bed like usual, but around 3 a.m., I suddenly woke up. My eyes opened, but that was it. The rest of my body just wouldn't move. At first, I thought I was still dreaming or something. So I tried to lift my arm, but it just wouldn't happen. I tried to sit up, but I couldn't. I was completely frozen. It was as if someone poured concrete on my whole body while I was sleeping. The only thing I could move were my eyes, which made it even more terrifying because of what I saw in my surroundings. I started panicking, trying to scream, but my mouth wouldn't open. And then I felt this pressure in my chest, almost as if someone was sitting on top of me. It got harder and harder to breathe, and I remember thinking, I can't die like this. I haven't gotten a haircut in forever. I'm gonna look so chopped at my funeral. And that's when I noticed the shadow, a dark shape in the corner of my room, right by my closet. At first I thought it was just one of my clothes hung up, but I'm too lazy to do laundry. I never had clean clothes hung up like that. This shadow was different. It had the outline of a person, just standing there in the darkness, watching me. I couldn't turn my head to get a better look, but I could see it from the corner of my eye. Then the shadow started moving, not walking, but almost gliding across the room. And it got closer and closer to my bed. It was going super slowly, and my heart was racing, felt like it was gonna explode. I was still screaming in my head, but nothing was coming out of my mouth. The shadow got closer and closer until suddenly, it was at the foot of my bed. This dark, human-shaped mass just standing there. I squeezed my eyes shut because I couldn't handle looking at it anymore. And when I opened my eyes again, I could move. Just like that, the nightmare was over. So I sat up gasping for air, turning on every light I could reach. The shadow was gone, so I checked the time, and it was around 3:30 a.m. I didn't go back to sleep that night. Just sat in bed with all the lights on, scrolling through the internet trying to figure out what just happened to me. And that's when I found some articles about sleep paralysis. According to what I read, sleep paralysis happens when your brain wakes up before your body does. Your body stays in sleep mode, so you're basically paralyzed, even though your mind is conscious of what's going on around you. The pressure on the chest, the feeling of being watched, even the shadowy figures that I saw, all symptoms of sleep paralysis. So I was sure this is what I was going through, but little did I know, it was so much worse than just sleep paralysis. Instead, it was something way more real. I texted my friend that I knew has had sleep paralysis before, telling them about my experience, and they replied back saying, "It happens more often when you're stressed or in a new environment." So that totally made sense to me because I just moved in the week before. He reassured me that the dreams would go away once I got comfortable in the place, but that did not happen. At the time, I just felt so much better knowing that there was a logical explanation for what was going on. It wasn't ghosts or anything, just my brain being stressed about living in a new place for the first time on my own. I wish that logical explanation was what really happened though. If only I had known that this was just the beginning and it would get much, much worse. I thought I was in the clear after that first night. I had 3 whole days after this where I slept without having any problems. No weird shadows, no feeling trapped in my body, nothing. I really actually started to believe that it was just stress from moving into a new place. Then it happened again, but this time way worse. I woke up around the same time, 3 a.m., completely frozen, just as I was before. But when I looked towards my closet this time, it wasn't just a shadowy figure. Now, there was a man standing in front of my bed. I could see him more clearly now than the first time I experienced this. He was wearing some sort of old military uniform with that high collar and a button-up jacket. It looked straight out of something like World War I. His face wasn't totally clear to me, kind of blurry around the edges, but I could see his expression. And he looked angry. Not just regular angry, but like hateful, as if it was directed towards me. His eyes were locked on mine with intense stares that made my skin crawl. But after having the previous experience, when this was happening, I would just keep telling myself, "It's just sleep paralysis, it's just sleep paralysis, it's just sleep paralysis." But this felt different from the first time. I'm confident I could hear him breathing. I didn't hear noises during that first experience, so I didn't know if this was supposed to be a part of it. He had super heavy breaths, as if he used to be a smoker in his past life, and he just stood there over me for what felt like forever. After a while, everything went black, and then when I woke up for real, it was finally morning time. The first thing I noticed after waking up was a picture I had hung up was crooked. I figured I must have just done that in my sleep, but wanting to see what that looked like, I decided I was gonna start recording myself when I went to bed. I wanted to encapsulate these sleep paralysis experiences to see what it looked like. So I set up my phone on my dresser, pointing towards my bed, and hit record when I went to sleep. I figured if I could prove to myself that nothing was actually happening, my brain would calm down and stop the hallucinations. At night, I had the sleep paralysis experience again. But the next morning when I checked the footage, there was nothing. Just me sleep talking. I started recording every night, waiting to find something, but it never happened. My sleep was getting worse and worse, and I'd wake up feeling like I didn't get any sleep at all. I was now falling asleep in class, having more dark circles under my eyes than I already have. The military man started showing up every night in these sleep paralysis nightmares, and each time he got clearer and clearer. As every night went on, I could start to see more details in what he was wearing. Medals on his chest, a big mustache, and a horrible looking wound on his neck that looked raw and wet, as if something happened to him on the battlefield. After almost 2 weeks straight of this, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my mattress and dragged it into the living room. From the stuff I read, I figured that maybe it was something about that room in particular that was causing me to have these hallucinations. Maybe the paint fumes or some kind of mold was triggering this in my brain. I was really hoping this would fix it. That night, I slept on the mattress in my living room with all the lights on. I even took the NyQuil that my doctor recommended to help me get better sleep.